Hello, beloved ones. As strange as it may seem, in the matter that time truly does fly, it's been over a month since I've spoken to you. And in that month, in the shortness of it, we have passed into one of the darkest periods of our history as a people, bound, as we might say, by a common destiny. Somehow, the realization that my personal journey, shared so deeply and intimately and painfully by my beloved Stephanie and my daughter and many others, has become a metaphor for this United States. Somehow, this journey upon which we all now travel is like a personal struggle with cancer. This realization shatters any semblance of normalcy that even end-of-life matters cannot normally break. The concept of dying from cancer, or most any other terminal condition, is in fact intellectually acceptable. Dying is normal, even if, when faced with its looming presence, we find it surreal. Even if we acknowledge its proximity, I am tested by an awareness of just how tightly the door closes behind us at the moment of our passing. Even so, it is normal. People that I love, honor, and admire have done it. Therefore, I should be able to manage it when the time comes. We are born, we live for the time we have, and we die. And in between the birthing and the dying, we develop and grow and survive and laugh and suffer. Did I mention survive? If we live a relatively normal life, we love, we bind ourselves in love, we create, we mature and change. We, many of us, become persons of faith in God, in the eternal, in the awareness of those things which are significantly larger, often incomprehensible. If we are fortunate, or if we are able to remain focused on love, on our faith, on our consideration of the incomprehensible, we are likely, I believe, to find our lodestar, the guiding light towards which we live and move and have our being. We call this lodestar by many names, but one is our moral compass. If we are fortunate and focused, we find a set of values which provide for us the very direction of our lives. I happen to believe that we can only successfully do this, successfully discover our moral compass in the presence of others, with the aid of others. Humans are not created to live in isolation. We need others. We need each other. This holds true whether we feel isolated from others or are a part of relationships that comprise discrete entities in and of themselves. And since we are rarely, and fortunately so, isolated from humankind, relationships form because of us and in spite of us. Relationships are among the three-dimensional created forms of life. They have length and breadth and depth. Since relationships are as much a part of living as life itself, we are called, especially out of our moral compass, to honor them, to nurture them, and to see in them the essence of life. Our relationships, in whatever form or substance, whether close or distant, passing or enduring, are in fact one of the devices God uses to create this very cosmos. God uses what God has wrought to use, what God has chosen and planned and created to use in the formation of our worlds. And while I do believe in miracles, in synchronicity, in good fortune, in blessings and all the misunderstood or inadequately comprehended realities of life, I believe that above all else, God chooses God's own means and methods of creation, not ours. We live and move and have our being in God's creative and created order, not in ours. And we are each called out of our moral compass to behave as if everything we touch or sense in any of our myriad of ways is a part of God's purposeful and well-ordered and occasionally chaotic creation. We need only understand that. I'm learning from this journey towards the end of my life that our relationships formed from love for each other, and within that love, the understanding that we are all being acted upon by the tools God, the God Self, has wrought, that among these is love. You are teaching me about love. Stephanie teaches me every day about love. My daughter teaches me about love. It doesn't take a philosopher or genius to know that there is no place in that love for battering rams used to break down doors in our nation's capital. It does, however, require some reflection on life's true values, on our moral compass, on our faith. There is no place in love for the violence we saw last week, for the murder and the threats of murder. There is no Christian ethic nor moral compass derived from our faith that says the incitement to violence is intended by Jesus as a response to lies and self-serving, Satan-spawned hatred. What we saw and continue to see and live under the threat of from last week is not of Christ. It never was, and it shall never be of Christ. It is Antichrist. We saw and have still paraded before us daily symbols of hatred, blind hatred, shirts that bear logos to imply that 6 million Jews killed were not enough. And what are proud boys to be proud of? We all have lost something of value that can never be replaced, and our relationships have suffered for it. My prayer has been for some time now that I be given enough time to prepare as best I can for the inevitable, so that I do not leave this world less well off, that I leave it better and kinder or more loving. The things that I do now will change, perhaps in infinitesimally small ways, but change nonetheless. The world, my Stephanie, my daughter, and you will be left with. And as dark as it all seems in the shadow of Satan and Satan's minions with body armor and flags and long guns, I have learned from you the power of love. This is the power we are granted by and graced with from God. I find in that power of love hope, my brothers and sisters, for the future. A future I may not get to know. But as Dr. King said in days now long ago, in that hope, in that hope, we can see the promised land. I do know that through the love so lovingly given, I can affirm that, like Dr. King, I have seen that promised land. I love you all, and I miss you.